So good day to everybody, and I hope that everyone is comfortable at home. And I'd like you all to just sit back first and just, without closing your eyes, just sense how your body is feeling. Is it feeling energetic? Is it feeling tired? Is it feeling painful, uncomfortable, or very comfortable? So just put an adjective to how your body is feeling. And now I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. I'd like you to sense into how your mind is feeling. What is the nature of your mind right now? What is the weather in the mind? Is the weather in the mind calm? Is the weather in the mind drizzly, cloudy? Or is there a blizzard going on in there, or a typhoon? Just take note, tuning in into your own mind. And in mindfulness terms, when we talk about feelings, we sense into the mind and the body. And at this point, I'd like you to shift your focus now to your body. And just noticing, first of all, where your feet are. And if you like to adjust the placement of your feet, please go ahead. I'd like you to notice your posture. Is your body happy with your posture? Meaning, is it comfortable? If not, please adjust. Like as I'm now tuning to my body, I noticed that I was slouching a little bit. And I'm now adjusting my spine to straighten the spine. As I straighten my spine, I noticed my shoulders were a little bit fallen to the front, and I'm going to now open up my shoulders, straighten up my spine, and sensing into my neck, aligning my neck with the spine. And I can feel my posture now more straight, more upright. My spine is actually feeling happier because there's less pressure now on my lower back as I straighten my spine and adjusting the alignment from my head all the way down to the lower back. And I'm now going to shift my attention to my hands. And with intention to move my hands, I shift my hands now to place them on my lap. And I find my body now feeling a lot more at ease. And also my posture is now more balanced. I'm going to now shift my attention to my shoulders, and if there's any tightness or tension there, I'm going to slightly move my shoulders and release the tightness in the shoulders. And I'm glad there is not much tightness in my shoulders, but check yours. And tuning into my neck, tilting my head side to side, and releasing any tension that may be present there. And slightly adjusting and also rotating my head and checking if there's any tightness in the neck or stiffness that I'm going to now release from my neck. And I'm going to now scan up my face, checking if my jaw is tight or relaxed, and my cheeks, my forehead, releasing the frown that may be there. Now just sensing into my breath. And whenever I notice my breath, I bring a sense of joy up. Like, wow, I'm alive and I'm not going to take this moment for granted. My body is healthy enough for me to conduct this session. So I'm very grateful to my body, all the organs within that are functioning, doing its job. And that's why my body is in pretty good shape. So I am now noticing my breath going in to my lungs and my breath exhaling through my nostrils. Paying attention on purpose. And if there are thoughts in my mind, that's okay. That's what the mind does. I don't have to pay attention to what my mind is thinking, as I have a choice to shift my attention and focus instead on my breath. Your mind may be distracted by a sound or even a thought that pops up, a reminder, and that's okay. That reminder will come back later if it's important enough. But now I'm just going to focus on my breathing. Seeing this beautiful breath through sensing, not my eyes, but sensing, knowing. When we sense, we know. It's not the mind speaking or asking questions or adding narratives. But the ability to sense enables us to know. When we sense the body breathing, we know it's breathing, and we know we're alive. And we know where the breath is. Now I'd just like you to sense 3 more beautiful breaths going through your body, allowing the breathing to be natural, and you're just sensing, knowing. At the end of the 3rd breath, opening your eyes and smile. Okay, so how does that feel now after this short mindfulness practice? And those of you who are new to mindfulness practice, you've just experienced one. How does it feel? Was it comfortable, uncomfortable? Was it uneasy? So I'm going to turn on the chat for everyone so that you can all share with each other what your experience was. So go ahead and type in there. Let's make this a little bit more interactive so that you don't feel like you're just listening in to someone talking away. Thank you, Alice, Helen, Preeta, Dolly. It's relaxing, much needed, peaceful, relax, calm. I feel a calming happiness, refreshing, very calm. centering. Anyone has a different experience, please. Thank you, Ingrid, for the compliment. And now you feel you missed the practices. Yes, so you have a chance now to feel again or experience it again. Tired, but still okay. Okay, thank you very much for your kind comments. Feeling awake. Wonderful. More self-aware. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that off temporarily. Energized. Okay, and missing the practice. Yes. Okay, thank you, everybody. So I'm going to use the deck of slides just so that I can guide everybody along in this with the slides. So today's topic is on myths and facts. So you have just experienced yourself what a mindfulness practice is and also the effects that it has. And as you can see in the chats, those of you who posted has helped people to realize that you have actually had a positive experience. And it's calming, it feels peaceful, it's a feeling of happiness. And these are very normal and usual side effects of practicing mindfulness in this formal way. So I'm going to try to cover some of the common myths. For example, mindfulness is just meditation. But it's not, is it? Those of you who have practiced before or has read something about it that is not from a skeptical or cynical website, it is really about awareness. What you were doing just now was having a greater awareness of how your body was feeling, and therefore you were able to adjust your posture. When you look around, how many people hunch? How many people have what we call a bad posture? And they experience pain in the body because the posture is not helpful or not healthy for the body. So when we have the awareness, we can adjust that posture and help ourselves to be able to stand more upright, pull our shoulders back, and not looking hunched. So if you look at cabin crew who have been trained, they don't walk with a hunch because their awareness has been enhanced of how they need to position their body. Mindfulness is also about being present. So when you felt that calmness, peace, and happiness during that short practice, you were being present. That means you were not thinking ahead about what's going to happen, what you're going to do this afternoon, what you're going to eat, how you're going to get to the stadium, or whatever activities that you have. You're not planning ahead. Now, there's nothing wrong with planning ahead, but sometimes our mind over plans. That means after planning, it doesn't stop there. It keeps looking out for whatever things that could possibly go wrong, or worrying about whether people are going to show up, or whether, someone's going to be on time, or whether you're going to get there on time, and so many other things that you haven't done. So our mind is not always present because it keeps thinking ahead. And for some people, it keeps reviewing what has happened in the past. And that really robs away our sense of peace. So I'm going to hope to let you experience this yourself so that you actually don't just take my word for it, but you discover it. And mindfulness is all about seeing things as they are. So when we look out of the window, what do we see? What do you see? I'd like you to just pause and look out the window, like I'm looking out right now. I see buildings, I see trees, I see clouds, I see a beautiful blue sky. And that is just being aware of what we're seeing. Now, what happens when we layer thoughts on it? When we layer positive thoughts like, wow, such a beautiful day. So when we have a positive narrative, we feel happier. What if now you look out there and you add a narrative? Maybe it will rain. And when you put a narrative like that, it makes you feel like, oh, you become cautious. You might even become anxious because you have plans later on that may be affected by the rain. So, are you aware of how your thoughts can change your experience, change how you feel, affect even something that's good in front of you, something that's beautiful, gets tarnished, gets polluted by the mind that is in a habitual narrative creation that is negative in nature. So what mindfulness does, it helps us to first be aware that this mind has a habit of adding narratives that are either positive or negative. So over the years, I've been training my mind to add positive narratives or no narratives. Looking out there and just appreciating the beautiful sky, the green leaves on the trees and the grass, and just taking it all in. So there's also a myth that meditation is a religious practice, perhaps in some religion. But what we teach at Brahm Center and in many healthcare settings, it is not a religious practice. The meditation is really a mind strengthening practice. Just as if you go to the gym to train for physical strength, it is not the only way to be strong. You can do sit-ups at home, you can do running, you can do push-ups, you can lift weights at home. So going to the gym is not the only way to get yourself physically stronger. You can be carrying heavy things, whatever that sometimes your job requires you to be physical, also strengthens you physically. And that's the same with the mind. If our mind can be focused, can be present, that is in fact a mindful mind, a mind that doesn't stray all over the place, doesn't get involved in all sorts of narratives and internal gossiping. So other ways of becoming mindful is to doing mindful walks. Mindful walks is when you're walking, you can appreciate what's around you. You're not on your mobile phone, you're not talking away all the time, that you miss everything along the way. So I'm not saying that you stop talking to people, but sometimes it's good to just take walks without speaking and just be able to see everything that's around you. And that is also a way of powering up awareness, which is what mindfulness practice is all about. Are you aware that your mind makes assumptions? For example, some of you who may be seeing me for the first time may think that, oh, I've just got bashed in the eye because I've got this green looking bruise on my eye. That is an assumption. The reality is this is a birthmark that I've had ever since I was born. And I am aware that, some people make such assumptions. I remember being in university, and after 1 year of knowing this guy, one day he paused and said, Angie, can I ask you a personal question? I said, sure. Why do you put green eye makeup on one eye all the time? And that really tickled me. And I said, no, I don't put makeup on one eye. I have a green birthmark. And it took him 1 year to pick up his courage to ask me, because it's something he's noticed all this time. So be aware that our assumptions are not always correct. They're not facts. And we need to check or validate our assumptions. And it's good to do that. Because if not, we keep certain thoughts in our mind, and just that assumption affects how we feel about the person or how we act towards the person. I'm sure you have made many assumptions that were later proven wrong, including making judgments of people when you just first met them, and then later on found them that your judgments or assumptions were actually unfounded, or in fact, untrue. So I'm going to show you this picture because I just came back from a cruise This is the lady that I traveled with, and we shared the same room, and we went everywhere together on the ship. And what assumptions would people have made? Some people thought we were a gay couple because we went on this cruise together, and we were together just about all the time. Well, she's my cousin, and we went on a cruise together. She's in her 60s. I'm going to be turning 60 this year. And we decided, life is short. Let's spend some time together. And we both get along very well. Some of you may even know her because she volunteers at Brahm Center, teaching brain and body exercise in Tampines. And it's okay. Sometimes people make the wrong assumptions. And if people do kind of look like I can sense their assumption, I'll just say, oh, we're cousins, right? But frankly, it doesn't really matter if people make the wrong assumptions. And I'd like you to consider that, when people make the wrong assumptions about you, it's not to get upset about it or, to get so uptight about it and then spoils your day. Because people's minds work different ways. Yeah, so I'm okay when people make wrong assumptions because I feel that when people get to know me, then some of their wrong assumptions will just get corrected. We are all biased. And that's the reality. Because we have had past experience that may have been negative or we had an unpleasant experience. And then we tend to tag that negative experience to anything that seemingly look the same or feels the same. And sometimes biasness is due to prejudices that have been planted in our mind, and it causes to have fear towards certain people or certain situations. And that biasness really affects our future experience or our present experience. So someone who's gone through a bad relationship, who may have been cheated on, may have this bias against the next person in the relationship that it's going to happen again. So this is not uncommon. It's really important to have that awareness so that we can just put that thought aside. Biasness is nothing but a whole bunch of thoughts. We can also be positively biased, just as we may be biased to people who look like us, who act like us, and then people who are not. Then there's a negative bias. So I'm showing you this photo because we went into a shoe shop, and there was this particular lady who didn't seem like she was very keen to provide service to us. So whenever we asked for a shoe to try on or a pair of sandals, she would look grudgingly. That means no smile on her face. In fact, maybe even a grumpy look, and gets it for us and puts it on our seat and leaves, goes back to her counter. And I sense this reluctance in providing us with service. So I decided to go up to her and I said, excuse me, do you have a problem assisting us? And she was actually quite taken aback. She probably didn't realize how obvious it was. And she said immediately, no, I don't. I said, oh, good. I must have been mistaken. And after I said that, and that was how I said it in a nice way, the service level improved. And we ended up buying 4 pairs of shoes between us. So we'll, a lot of times they are biased by the past experience, maybe by people looking similar to us that gave her a hard time, or maybe she read in the news that people who look like us are not nice people, especially when there's so much political issues going around the world with countries that have people looking like us. So it's really important for us to change their views with a positive encounter. So if I had been aggressive or even obnoxious towards her, then it would just reinforce her negative bias. So instead, I put on my friendliness and smiled at her and thanked her, and also made sure I let her know that we're from Singapore. That helps to uplift the reputation of Singapore. And so the next Singaporean who goes in the shop, she would associate that Singaporean with us. Or she would also associate someone looking like us in a different light. So just know there will be negative bias, and to treat it with kindness and friendliness in order to give that person a positive encounter would help to change future experiences for ourselves as well as for people who come after us. So be aware the mind does not always work with facts. It also works with bias, positive or negative. And this happens also in our family. You know, our parents may be biased towards one kid versus the other kid from their experience with us. And similarly, we have biasness towards our children, and it's to be aware of it. It's not something we can get rid of, but by being aware of it, if we put it aside, then we are able to make the assessment in the present of the facts that are presented to us and make a more objective decision. That is what mindfulness helps with. So John Kabat-Zinn, who is the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction, and really we call him the secular mindfulness founder, he defines it as it's the awareness that arises through paying attention. So it's not randomly unaware, but really paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmental way. So when we talk about non-judgmental way, is to have the awareness of putting aside the bias of the narratives that may not be helpful. Yeah. And this way we would be able to be more effective on how we manage people, how we make our decisions, how we can be more grounded. So you'll find out more next week when I conduct the one on how mindfulness can help with our relationships. Another myth that I often come across is mindfulness about emptying the mind. Our mind is not empty most of the time. In fact, if there are moments where our mind doesn't have any thoughts, notice how peaceful it is. And we're fully aware the peace of no thoughts. And that awareness is sharp. No thoughts doesn't mean it's empty in the sense of how people put a fear connotation to it, like, oh, you know, something can come and possess your mind. Let me tell you what is even more scary in possessing your mind. It's called the bottle spirit. The spirit that is in a bottle. Alcohol. When you drink a lot of alcohol, and strangely they call it spirits, the alcohol possesses your mind. It can make you do stupid things, things that you regret later on, or what they call drunk driving, hitting someone, killing someone, or getting into an affair that you wouldn't have otherwise if your mind was clear and your mind was able to make good decisions. So do not be taken by this myth. Mindfulness practice is not dangerous. In fact, it is the opposite. It makes us more safe, that we don't lose our mind because of anger, because of hatred, because of fear. Mindfulness helps us to be aware of the thoughts in the mind and how they affect the body. So let's give that a try. Let's do an experiment to see how it affects you, your thoughts. Are you ready? Okay, now let's check in our body again. Has your body slouched since we did the earlier practice? Okay, let's adjust our body, sit upright. pull our shoulders back slightly, tuck our chin in, because very often we have a chin sticking out due to looking at mobile devices or our laptops. So just slightly pull our chin in, helps us to align and improve the posture here, which will also help to reduce any pain in the back of the neck area for people who may be protruding their head too often. Because when you protrude your head, you add about 3 times more weight to your neck. So now I'd like to invite you to just close your eyes. And let's just start with 3 beautiful deep breaths. Bring your mind to focus on the breath. And I'm going to invite you to bring to mind a memory of a happy occasion. It could be something that happened recently, or it could be something that happened a while ago. A memory of you being happy, feeling a sense of joy. And as that memory unfolds, notice how your body is feeling. Noticing your chest. How does your chest feel as you remember this joyful occasion when you were laughing, smiling? How do your shoulders feel right now as you recall that memory of happiness? Can we just hang out with some good friends? Or looking at a cute dog? How does your stomach area feel? Just taking note of the feelings in your body as you are reliving the memories of joy. What is the heart feeling like? What is the heart rate? The breathing rate? How do your hands feel? Are they dry or balmy? And now I'm going to invite you to switch gear. I'd like you to recall a memory of being given a piece of unpleasant news. Something you heard that wasn't pleasant. Or something happened that you witnessed. Somebody being angry at you, or shouting at you, or you are shouting. And as that memory unfolds, I'd like you to notice how your body feels. Noticing your chest. Sensing into your stomach area. Your shoulders. Your hands, are they feeling balmy or dry? How's your heart rate? Your breathing rate? And now I'm going to switch gear and bring you back into shifting your attention to your breathing. Taking 3 beautiful deep breaths. And letting each out breath relax your body. Each in breath, a breath of gratitude that your body's alive and this wonderful world. All the plants and trees are giving you oxygen. And this oxygen is nourishing your body with every breath. And now relaxing your shoulders by gently moving your shoulders, releasing the tension that may be present. Breathing into your stomach area. When you breathe into the stomach, you're actually exhaling. Opening your fingers and closing your fingers, relaxing your hands. Feeling the air going through your nostrils. And notice if there's any change now to your chest, to the breathing rate, to the heart rate. And gently now, opening your eyes. And I would like to invite you now to type and share with everyone what your experience is. What did you experience through that little experiment of recollecting a happy memory and then an unpleasant memory? And then what if when you did the mindfulness practice of just focusing into your body and your breathing? Good. So you were able to bring yourself back into a peaceful state. And someone shared that she felt happy with the happy memories. It made her smile. Having so many plans and thoughts before, but now coming back into the present. Feeling light with some good memories. And thank you to a lady who expressed that the body was tight. The breathing was fast when there was an unhappy memory that was going through her mind. Yeah, and if it's hard to go back to bad memories, that's great. Don't. But hard may be a case of hard because you've let it all go and you couldn't, retrieve a bad memory. That's great. However, if you've been blocking it, that's a different situation. So you might want to seek some psychotherapy in order for you to unlock those memories to release them. Because sometimes we bury the bad memories, especially if they have been traumatic. But they may affect us in our behavior in certain situations. So that may not be so beneficial. Yeah. So I hope that each one of you, through this little experiment, realizes how thoughts affect the body. And someone just shared, felt a lump in the stomach and heaviness in the chest with the bad memory. But, with the breathing exercise, you felt better. So this is what mindfulness practice is all about, helping you to be able to shift your attention away from these bad memories, these unpleasant thoughts that are actually not necessarily helping you. In fact, it's actually causing an unhealthy experience that's going on in your body. So if you have a habit of recollecting, dissecting, creating different versions of what happened in the past, you are causing your body to tense up, to be under stress. It's not even anyone scolding you in the present moment. It is your mind that is activating all these negative thoughts that are causing your body to get tighten up, to feel anxious, to even feel like, you want to combat. And this tension sends your blood pressure up. It can even result in having headaches, having pain in your body. causing some of your metabolic rate to go a bit haywire, causing you not being able to sleep, and many unwelcome, really, side effects. So, which also explains why mindfulness has taken root in many disciplines, and there are many good reasons why we want to be aware of what these thoughts are going on in the mind and how they affect the body, so that we would put effort, conscious effort, into retraining this mind to let go. As long as we're not able to let go the unpleasantness that's happened to our life, and everyone is going to experience unpleasantness. I've had my share, but mindfulness practices have helped me to learn how to let go. And therefore, I have happier present moments. And happier present moments create happier memories, because this present moment becomes an old moment that becomes part of history. So the future is created by our present moment. Instead of the future being created by our past, is to be created in the present by what we are aware of in the present moment, letting go of the past. So what are the facts? As you have some experiences in that little experiment, and also to be aware of, as you go on in your day, isn't it exhausting when the mind can't stop thinking? Isn't it frightening when the mind imagines the worst? And isn't it dangerous when your mind is full of negative thoughts? So when someone is angry, or when you're angry, notice how many negative thoughts are going on, like, wow, this person's a jerk, he's so unfair, he's really a horrible person. I don't know why, I'm working here. I don't know why I'm in this relationship. I just want to get rid of this person. I want to get out of here. I feel like strangling this person. Wow, all these negative thoughts will get this body so heated up. Notice how hot your body gets when you're angry. And notice how tired your body is when your mind doesn't stop thinking. And notice how your body may even tremble or just seizes up because you have so many frightening thoughts. So when we have this as a first step in awareness, I hope it motivates you to do more mindfulness practices. And it doesn't have to be always seated down, what we call meditation. Go for a walk. Look at nature. When you eat, focus on what you're eating. That's why there's a term called mindful eating. When you're watching a show, put the focus on watching the show. Not to make comments and create narratives, why this person's so stupid, why this person just doesn't do that, forgetting that sometimes you're just watching a show, you're not in the show. Some people watch a show and they try to even change the script of the script writer, right? Wanting the actor to say something else, wanting the actress to do something else, and then getting so emotionally involved. And this is when we have to have the awareness to step back and say, it's just a show. We're just watching a show. Yeah. That awareness helps us to switch out of this involvement. So when you have people who complain to you a lot, sometimes you end up getting involved and you end up owning their problem. It's not your job to own somebody else's problem. I counsel many people and I do not own their problem. I do not let their problem become mine because they are not mine. And if my children come and talk to me about their problems, it's still their problem. I hope to help them see things from different perspective, and they can come up with a better option or ways to handle it going forward. But I'm not going to take their problem. I'm not going to worry for them, because that's what happens when we take on somebody else's problem. And this includes your colleagues' problems, your boss's problems. Know what your paycheck is, know what your job scope is, and do not go and take on somebody else's. Sometimes you're not paid enough to go and take higher ups problems. And the fact is, it is peaceful when the mind is focused and not full of thoughts, isn't it? You just tried that yourself. You went into your breath, you notice your breath, you notice your body breathing, and you were able to release the tension in your shoulders. That's not, your mind is not full of thoughts. You felt at ease. You felt more peaceful. Mindfulness can help with sleep. In fact, I came across this as I was doing research and looking for materials for my talk today. And I thought, those of you who have kids, this is a great way to introduce mindfulness to your children. So this is Snoozy the Sloth. You can go and Google it. And Snoozy the Sloth helps a child how to relax. Most children don't know how to relax. In fact, that's why they're always so active. I remember my kids, they're always so active. And worse, if we condition our kids to worry. And they're only 4 or 5 years old, and you teach them to worry about homework. 4 or 5 years old is not the time to teach them to worry about homework. It's to teach them on how to expend their energy in a healthy way. Not watching iPad, but rather to play games, to read books, to go out and do activities that are engaging and helping them to release all their energy. There's so much of it. But when it comes to bedtime, to know how to relax their mind. So this is also helpful for you to learn how to slow down, because sometimes we're running at 100 km per hour at work, running to the train to catch our train. And when we come home, to slow down. So the facts are, mindfulness can help to reduce blood pressure, because when you don't have all these negative thoughts in your head and all the unpleasant narratives, it actually reduces blood pressure, reduces cortisol level. It manages pain and also improves health. And don't take my word for it. So I did some check for you, and Harvard Health actually has an article very recently, July 18, on meditation and relaxation technique to lower blood pressure. So you can check it yourself. Always verify what you hear so that you know whether it's a fact or someone just making a statement, just say, oh, there's research, but actually they do not show what the research is. So can you do the research yourself? Reduces cortisol levels. So this was actually a research study done on medical students, that it reduces cortisol level. And we did a similar experiment or study with our last batch of Mindful Compassion course participants. We had a sponsor who paid for the blood being drawn by a group of medical professionals who came in and tested the level of cortisol. And at the end of the 8 weeks, tested the blood again, did the blood test. So it's very empirical. There wasn't any about surveys that, you can skew it because you want to put something positive into the survey. So this one, no skewing. And 70% of the participants' blood tests showed that their cortisol level dropped. What is cortisol? It is actually a stress hormone. And stress hormone can be bad for the body when it's no longer about helping you to get out of danger. Managing pain. This is from Mayo Clinic, another very reliable source when it comes to health information, that mindfulness can be used to cope with especially chronic pain. So I remember all the times when I went for surgery, after the surgery, at most I would take pain med for 1 day because the pain may be really excruciating. But the second day onwards, I would give it up, including after my 2 deliveries of my babies. And I just didn't want to take any pain meds. And I actually went through cesarean. Why? Because I want to know where the pain is. I want to be mindful of the area where the pain is, because the pain is actually my friend, not my foe. The pain is there for a reason, to indicate to me there's an injury there, because where I was cut to have the baby taken out, there was trauma on that area. And that's why there is pain. So I need to be kind and not to end up tearing the skin where it's being sewed together. So I was like being careful. I could be careful because the pain is there to warn me. Without the pain, by taking pain meds, I may think that there's nothing wrong there and I'll exert myself, and that would only slow down the healing. So mindfulness has helped me to keep my body healthy, not to complain about the pain, but to respect the pain and to make pain my friend. So if I have pain in my lower back, I know that I have strained my lower back, or I have not been keeping a good posture. That's what the pain is there for, to make the change. If you have lower neck pain, it's probably because your head has been jutting out a lot, and this is the pain reminding you, please pull your head back. But if you don't know why the pain is there, then please seek a doctor's consult, because the pain is there to motivate you to go and get it diagnosed and treated. So at Brahm Center, we do a lot of collaboration, and these are with big name universities, Oxford, Harvard, Brown, and I just came back from a trip visiting with my collaborators or my partners or experts in mindfulness in Harvard and Brown. We're also going to be partnering Oxford next year to bring to Singapore the Oxford's mindfulness-based cognitive therapy teachers training program. So those of you who have taken MBCT and would like to be a trainer, you have an opportunity to do it in Singapore without having to fly to England. So keep an eye out for that. It's probably going to start in April next year. So we're very delighted to have Dr. Lillian Chung, who is from the Harvard School of Public Health. She's going to be here in November. She's also written a book called Savor, and it's about mindful eating. Why is mindful eating important? Because the food we put into our body could be nourishing our body or harming our body. And sometimes we're not very mindful about what we eat. That means having the awareness of the quality of the food or the nourishment properties of the food, but we just eat what we like in terms of taste. And tasty food doesn't always mean it's good for our body. Now, I'm not saying that, you give up tasty food, but at least eat in moderation. Yeah. If you are overweight and you know it, well, as we all know, it's very hard to shed pounds. It's very easy to put on the pounds. But with mindful eating, we are more respectful that the stomach has enough. Now, I know if someone's been eating a lot, the stomach actually says not enough because it got so used to eating a lot. But we can train this stomach to recognize that it doesn't have to be completely filled up. And mindful eating also helps us to be mindful that we pick that chip up and to be able to put it down, because it's not nourishing for our body. So you may say, well, that's hard, right? Well, it may be hard, but do you want to be healthy, or do you want to just give in to all the temptations? The mind is not always taking care of your body. The mind has greed. Eat, eat, eat. Eat some more. The body may say, no, I don't need that. And the mind can override it. But what mindfulness does, it helps to train the mind to care. And when the mind starts to care more about the body, the mind moderates the greed. So we're going to be putting out the publicity on Dr. Lillian Chung's talk in November. So stay tuned for it. And now that you've signed on to this talk, you will be automatically put on the distribution list. So please stay on the distribution list so that you can obtain all these updates, or our Facebook. And when I talked about fear, it can be your friend, it can be your foe. because when we fear fear, it becomes a foe. But if we can befriend the fear, it becomes our friend. Imagine a life that we can't feel pain. It would be very dangerous. That means we burn our finger, we don't even know it. So Dr. Ronald Siegel is from Harvard Medical School. He's actually pretty much retired now. That's why he has stepped down to become an assistant professor instead of an associate professor. He's written many books, and he's going to be giving this talk on 27th October. So if you're a public healthcare educational staff or student, you can register for free. It would be in person at the Lee Kong Chian School of Medicine. And if you're not, please make a donation of $10. A 5-day mindfulness retreat, Living a Happier Life, is going to be at Changi Cove. And already 57 people have registered. So if you'd like to join, there is still some spaces left. So I hope to see you there. And if you are a 50-year-old and above, you have National Silver Academy subsidy of 80%. What a bargain. And you can also claim that whatever you pay to Skills Future for anyone above 25 and above. If you have difficulty affording this, as we do charge a fee, and a lot of it goes to paying for the hotel as well as the speaker, but please write into us. We are a charity. We are not an organization that is profit-making. We don't have shareholders. This is a charitable organization. So please write into us at info@brahmcenter.com for a subsidy if you need one. Don't be shy about it. It's about looking after yourself. And we are going to have a retreat as well in Phuket. And this is to help people network more and also to have a chance to relax by the sea. Every room is going to have a sea view. This retreat hasn't opened yet. It will open later today at about 7 p.m. in terms of registration. There is the retreat fee of $770 plus the cost of accommodation. Those of you who received this earlier flyer may have misunderstood, or perhaps we were not very clear, so we have updated the flyer. So Singapore citizens and PRs are eligible for the $300 in discount. But once again, if you really need a further subsidy, please write into us. We'll see what we can do to help you. What we would like to achieve in this mindfulness retreat is to help people learn how to live and support their families members more mindfully. Because if there are much strife in the family, people snapping each other, people being unkind to each other, it is tough going. It's not about changing your family members, it's to see how you can change your response in order to bring a more positive atmosphere in the family. So if you felt that this talk has benefited you in one way or another, I hope to see you on the 12th of August from 3 to 4 p.m. And do let your friends know as we are going to talk a bit more about the science of how it affects the brain and how mindfulness can really improve our relationships, whether it's at work, at home, personal. And if you haven't even taken a mindfulness course before, please consider this, as it will be life-changing. Yeah. And that's why I have now dedicated my life to serving in this space. I have done so since 2015, joining the charity full-time. And I hope you will join me in this journey to make your life better. So click and like the Facebook page of Brahm Center so that you can be updated on what's going on. And our website always has updates as well, the calendars of all the centers that we have various activities, including art, movement, and we have something coming up next week as well for your children, which is free, organized by Hwa Chong students. And I also have a Facebook page that I often put my blogs and hopefully uplifting messages for you. So I hope you have found this session to be useful, a reminder, a refresher for some of you. It's so wonderful to see so many familiar names posting on the chat.